Yeah, hi Tanzil. You've been patiently waiting, listening to
Hi,
myself and
Johnny.
and Andrew ramble on. But no, thank you firstly so much for joining. Obviously we've met a fair few times now, and it's been we've been talking about doing this for a while, so it's great to get it in action.
Mhm.
Look, before I sort of ask you a few questions, I think it kind of explains everything on here. We talked about your guys' track record and what you've completed so far. And obviously, you'll see some numbers on there. You've delivered obviously 1,011 apartments already, 267 commercial units. Is there anything on there that you sort of think's what best to point out?
I think that is really, if you just look at the top line, 1,011 apartments and 267 commercial units. I think that should give everyone an idea in terms of our experience of what we do in terms of property development. Those 1,011 apartments are spread over all across West Yorkshire. So that's buildings in Bradford, Leeds, Wakefield, Huddersfield. And it hasn't happened overnight. This is 20 years of us mastering our craft in a sense, to get to a point now where we can have developments such as the Halcyon and the Point. So yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to mention.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, look, from obviously getting to know you guys as a developer over the last, well, couple of years now, I think that one of the points here is the unwavering commitment to quality. That's what we've obviously loved about working with you guys. When we have obviously Andrew's been through the CGIs and what we're together kind of designing and building with these developments. It's something special. It's not just your sort of run-of-the-mill property. It is something that's going to stand the test of time and separate itself from the rest of the market. And finding, like-minded sort of vision there, I think with Sekhon has been great. And yeah, it's testament to you guys. So look,
Yeah.
focusing a little bit more on the actual two projects that we're discussing now. And again, sorry for everybody, if we are going to do a Q&A at the end, do ask any more questions. We've got a few, but if you want to ask anything at the end, then please do write it in the box. Specific to the Halcyon and the Point, what's the vision behind these two? Obviously, we've seen the pictures, but from your side, let us know what's kind of the vision from Secon's side.
The vision, Johnny, it's really all is about delivering high quality accommodation. There's a common misconception about West Yorkshire and the North in general, that the properties and buildings that we have aren't as good as what you might find in London, in Birmingham. And really, with the Point and the Halcyon, what we're trying to demonstrate that really isn't the case. You'll find most property developers, there's a cliched saying that they only build developments that they would live in themselves. I think you
Yeah,
can safely say with the Halcyon that we'd all love to live there with the amount of amenities, the size of the apartments. We're ranging from our smallest apartments are sort of 750 square foot. Our biggest are in excess of 2,000 square foot. So what we're really trying to create is something unique that, it will, like you say, stand the test of time. These are really the first kind of developments that we're putting up for sale. Our usual strategy has always been about building and retaining because we know our buildings, we know they have high yields of return, we know they go up in value. So now it's really, we've always have whatever we do, our first goal is always to have that backup plan of, in the case we decide not to sell them, what can we run them ourselves? And any development that we choose, we always need to tick that box first. So with the Halcyon, with the Point, we know they're going to be high quality accommodation. We know they're going to rent out. We know the yields are going to be high as well. And most importantly, they're going to go up in value over the 10, 15, 20 years time span.
100%. And yeah, look, I think that kind of leads on to, a question that we've been asked about what sets you guys Secon apart from everybody else. But I think, from what you just said and what we discussed earlier, it's really that quality, right? And the commitment to the quality.
Yeah, it's look, we take our time. We don't rush into anything. The design element of the Halcyon has been 2 years in the making. Even when obviously we looked at creating the CGIs with yourselves, we were very sort of focused on it's got to look like what our vision is, and and the thing is, those things can only come with time. We started our property development journey 20 years ago. We've made the rookie mistakes of buying a building and thinking it doesn't need a new roof, and in 6 weeks you put a new roof on it. So we really have mastered our craft to get to this stage, which is I think that's what sets us apart, that, we haven't rushed into this. It's years of experience, knowing what the market wants, and then being in a position now to say, yes, we can deliver it.
100%. And you said it takes time. These things don't happen overnight. And that, starts with the selection process of locations, right? It's not, we're talking about building the properties and making them look as beautiful as obviously we want them to look from the architectural designs. But how do you go about selecting the locations for where you're going to build?
Um, we listen to the market. If you look at our portfolio, it consists of a variety of different avenues. We've got residential, we've got student accommodation, industrial, offices. So we keep our ears close to the ground. We are within West Yorkshire, so we know where the tenant demand is. We're always conscious of overdevelopment, mainly because we're normally the cause of it. But what we try to do is look at the locations. What is it that we need? If it's a city centre location like the Point, but we know the amenities that need to be there. The Halcyon is very, very unique because we're competing with the build to rent sector, which is, it's advancing in Leeds. So we needed to create something that sets us apart, because there is a lot of development in that area. So it's just always about keeping your ears close to the ground. We're very fortunate that we already have 1,100 apartments under management. So we know the right time to put the rents in. We listen to our tenants. So we have a very good sounding board to know what the next step is or what our next development should be. One of the other things to point out is we're quite lucky in West Yorkshire because we have an array of weird and wonderful buildings, ranging from student mills, churches, old office buildings that really allow us to kind of, our CEO, Sekhon, his passion, is around bringing disused buildings back into use. He's Bradford born and bred for the last 50 years. So it's always a labor of love, every building that we choose. And, nothing makes us happier when we can take an old disused building and transform it into something special, like we've got with the Point and the Halcyon.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's obviously like paying homage to the history of the developments as well has been great. With the Halcyon having the beautiful stream running through it, naming it after that tranquility, the
Yeah.
Victorian conversion with the Point. I mean, they're beautiful buildings really. And obviously the design and the historical kind of relevance to it as well is something I know you guys are passionate about, which is amazing for us, as well as the tenants living there, right? Living somewhere that is iconic. These two developments will be iconic in those areas because of what they consist of. And, with the Halcyon, we talk about, future proofing. And I think that's kind of something that you'd agree on with the level of amenities in the Halcyon. This is looking to the future and what people are going to want going forward because investment isn't a short-term gain, right?
No, no. One thing I'll say about the amenities, we've been monitoring the build to rent sector for a number of years now. And one thing that we've learned from looking at these developments is that renters will pay a premium for amenities, and
Yeah.
what it's basically created is that these amenities, they're no longer a novelty, they're becoming a necessity. And it's inspired by, across different parts of the world. I mean, in the UAE, Johnny, where you're based, if you have now a development being built in Dubai or Abu Dhabi and it doesn't have a swimming pool or a gym, it's criminal because that's
Yeah.
what the renters want. And we're seeing the same thing here now, in the UK. Renters will pay extra because they want the gym, they want the co-working spaces. People want extra space where they're living. It's no longer just about having a 450 square foot apartment, and they spend a lot more time with the space that they live. That's part of the reason is because of obviously post-pandemic working habits have changed. We
Yeah.
know we know the Labour government is even mandating employers to give a hybrid work solution. So this is just going to continue on and on. So these developments now, that's where the future proofing comes in because we're ahead of the game, we're ahead of the curve because we're already putting these amenities in. So which means that when the investors buy these products, the renters will come because they have something that other developments don't have right now. And I think that is one of the key selling points here.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we obviously our ear to the ground from an investment point is always speaking to the local agents and saying, what is the typical sort of demographic or what is the typical profile of the person that comes into your agency. What do they want? And more they're telling us more space, amenities, because it doesn't exist. And that's what the market dictates. I saw the ONS, the Office of National Statistics, said that last year, 44% of the working population in the UK are working from home at least a couple of days a week. And when you go over to the £40,000 and above brackets, those numbers go up to 60 and 70%. That's a huge amount. And so it's been a massive shift. It's here to stay. And obviously that dictates what kind of property people want. And obviously what you're building with the Halcyon and The Pointe, that's at the forefront of this kind of new demand. So it's really exciting.